Welcome to the finale of the Fall 2021 Tasty Design Challenge, a restaurant branding competition that pits student designers from across the country head-to-head, competing for prestige, prizes, and of course, bragging rights. I'll be covering the details of how the competition is shaken out to this point in just a little bit, but first, some introductions. I'm Ryan Bitzigai, founder of the Tasty Design Challenge, and the instructor leading the charge for the group of students competing in the challenge from Coastal Carolina University, which is located in Conway, South Carolina, just outside of Myrtle Beach.
I'm John De La Cruz. I'm Associate Professor of Advertising Creative at San Jose State University. And I've been leading a group of final year students in this Tasty Design Challenge as well. I'm also an Adobe Education leader, just like Ryan and just like Abby, who is our finalist judge. Abby Guido, who is Assistant Professor of Graphic and Interactive Design at Tyler School of Art and Architecture at Temple University.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, John, and thank you both for inviting me to judge this competition. I'm really excited. I was really excited to see the work. I can't wait to talk about it.
So now, a breakdown of the competition to this point. First up, we have 6 teams of student designers from Coastal Carolina University. Each team was paired with an outside client who served as owner-operator of a fictitious new restaurant. In actuality, these clients were designers and educators from all over the country, volunteering their time and talents to serve as both client and mentor throughout the competition. The first team worked with Deb Klein. For the sake of this competition, Deb played the role of owner-operator of a Hartford, Connecticut-based charcuterie bistro called Board. But in real life, Deb is an incredible designer and educator. After several weeks of iteration and back-and-forth collaboration, Deb deemed Bruce Michaels' work to be the best of the bunch for her team. Not to be confused with Deb's restaurant Board, Emily Coates, assistant professor from Pacific University, challenged her group with a concept called Above Board, Market and Public House, based in Portland, Oregon. Emily selected the work of Desiree Jones as the best solution for Above Board. Next up is Chowan University's Jason Fowler. Jason presented his team with an innovative new after-dinner concept called Room for Dessert. Jason chose team member Dylan Pearsall's work to represent Room for Dessert. Joining the students at CCU from just up the road in Winston-Salem, designer and educator Jimmy Henderson presented his students with an artisan sandwich shop called The Brook and the Blue Ridge. Jimmy selected Cynthia Alarcon's tasteful design as the winner from his team. Next, Pierre Bowens, assistant professor from the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, provided his team with another Sweet Tooth-inspired concept called Want Some More. Pierre selected the work of Kenya Gandhi to represent his Washington, D.C.-based restaurant. And last but not least, Riley Paulson is the facilitator for training and design with a digital core at Ball State University. Riley presented his team with a New Orleans-based eatery called Blue Voodoo. Riley deemed Jen Harold's design to be the best match for his restaurant. The 6 winning concepts were then pitted against one another, and Desiree Jones was selected as the finalist to represent Coastal Carolina University in the finale. For our second class competing in this round of the Tasty Design Challenge, we have 7 teams from San Jose State University. The first team worked with Dan Ligon from the University of Colorado Boulder. Dan provided his students with a unique challenge, a Western-themed sushi cart called Ramblin' COWBOY Sushi. Dan selected the work of Brienne Badiola as the winner for his group. Next, David Dennis, founder of Ventana Surfboards, challenged his team to extend his existing Ventana brand with a new cafe and surf shop concept. David selected Jesus Trujillo's design to represent the new concept for Ventana. Judy Wood, professor of digital arts at Humber College, presented her design team with Seasons, which serves up farm-to-table concepts to its patrons. Judy selected Manuela Sevilla's vintage illustration-inspired concept as the winner of the group. Also joining the challenge from Humber College, Kevin Brandon challenged his team with a restaurant called Poseidon Bento Box, based out of Victoria, Canada. Kevin selected Tasha Rose's playful, modern design as the winner from his group. Next up, Michael Llewellyn-Williams presented his design team with a fine dining concept called Lightbox. Michael selected the work of Eric Perez as the best concept to represent Lightbox. Robin Landa, distinguished professor at Keene University, presented her design team with another bento-style concept with her Manhattan-based restaurant concept called Six. Robin chose Soraya Shiraz's geometric design as the best of the bunch from her group. And for our very last team, Virginia Patterson from Cal State Fresno challenged her team with a Houston-based restaurant named St. Charles Bacon Boil. Virginia selected Natessa Wong as the best overall design for St. Charles. From this final bunch of team winners, Manuela Sevilla was selected as the San Jose State University finalist. And that brings us to the final showdown between our two finalists. Each finalist has submitted a pre-recorded pitch for their final concept for our incredible judge Abby's consideration. First up, from Coastal Carolina University, we have Desiree Jones, who, as a reminder, worked with Emily Coates from Pacific University to brand her restaurant Above Board.
My name is Desiree Jones, and today I'll be discussing the restaurant brand Above Board. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Before I jump deeper into the brand itself, I first want to go over some of the background. Above Board is located in a unique part of Portland. Since it's at Jensen's Beach, it attracts not only Portland locals, but also tourists. The main target audience would be consumers from the ages 20 to 40. Above Board is a country chic-style market meets marina brewhouse that it serves local and ethically sourced foods. Not only does Above Board serve some of Portland's greatest comfort foods, but also it has a market that carries an arrangement of local goods and art, so anyone can take a piece of Portland with them. With that being said, this led me into coming up with the identity for the brand Above Board. The word itself is not only a sailing term, but also corresponds to being honest and ethical. On this next slide, I want to break down the different components of the logo and what it represents. The logo is an abstract representation of a sailboat. Since the name is a sailing term and is located and surrounded by water, it seems fitting to have something sea-themed, but I did not want to be too on the nose, so I kept the design abstract. The open path between the two shapes is a wave, but also is an open path to show that this is an honest brand. The bottom of the sailboat represents a water drop and a seed, to tie back into the country chic aspect of the restaurant. The overall logo itself shows movement and faces to the right to demonstrate how Above Board wants to move into a positive direction. This slide is showing a modular concept of how the logo is universal for different situations, one being better for rectangular design and one being better for more square designs. I also want to show different variations of the logo and text and how it's still recognizable. The third variation, however, is great for super small instances, such as an Instagram profile photo. Here are also images of a one-color logo example to show that it still works well all in one color. Speaking of color, let's get into the brands. The primary colors are located on the outside, and the secondary color is in the middle. The color blue was selected to be the main color because it's known to be honest and a calming color, which fits perfectly for the brand itself. Now let's get into typography. Adore You was selected because it showcases the country chic look and plays on the weathered sea feel. Also, I think it gives more personality to the overall brand. Avenue Roman was selected because it complements well with the rustic and written text above. Also, since the lettering is smaller and gives more description on the restaurant, I wanted it to be easy to understand. This is the storefront featuring Above Board. Classy yet homey. The right also displays the chalkboard that lets consumers know the latest goods and art featured within Above Board. Next, we have a recycled packaging. Since the brand is Above Board, recycling and being sustainable is an important aspect. To the left features more to-go packaging. The top features a single wave and the one to the bottom has multiple waves. It can also be switched out from time to time to keep things fresh. This is just a close-up of the pattern. I still wanted to keep it abstract but also have open paths to reflect on the logo. Regarding the uniform, this is the apron that the employees would wear. The logo is on the upper chest so that the consumers will be able to see it in their line of sight. Also to the right is a close-up embroidered logo that is featured on the apron. Since the target market is between the ages 20 to 40, Instagram was thought to be the best to reach our target audience. To the left is the profile page and highlights some of the favorite dishes and returning customers. And to the right are close-up posts. The very front post shows 3 consumers taking a picture in front of the featured artist's paintings in the restaurant. This next slide shows our plate setting, which also has our menu on top. The menu to the right is reused recycled paper, and the ink is soy-based, which allows for everything to be recycled after use. These are just a couple of examples of what is being sold in the market, such as local honey, chocolate, and wine. After the consumers have enjoyed their food, they will head into the market to purchase a souvenir. In the market, we'll be playing calming and upbeat music to finish off their positive experience. On the screen is a close-up of some of the selected songs and a QR code that will take you to the top above-board hits. We strive to be above board. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, Abby. So what are your initial thoughts about Desiree's work?
Well, one thing that really stood out about this overall brand was just the depth that Desiree went in. So considering everything from the logo to thinking about how signage might work, to the packaging and some collateral, Instagram, kind of covered a lot of bases with the mark. So that got me really excited when I first took a look at it. Diving in a little bit deeper, the logo itself, I think, is very successful. I like all of the meaning behind the logo, that it's not just a sailboat, that it also, is the abstract water drop and seed, and just how the two shapes kind of fit together and feel like they're meant to live together. And then together they create the sailboat. So I think it's a really smart mark. I thought the packaging and bringing in the pattern was really smart. I always like when students kind of go, I'll say, above and beyond, and don't just use the logo for the pattern. A lot of times we just throw the logo on, we move it around, but I like the idea of taking the essence of the logo and the feeling of it and creating this pattern of the wave that then can be applied to the packaging. I also like looking towards the social media and seeing what this restaurant might be sharing. I think social media is somewhere where the brand could grow even more, starting to think about, what type of lighting do we show on our feed in our photos of our food, and what type of angles do we shoot our photographs out. So I think that the idea behind having social media is really smart, and that's somewhere where Desiree could possibly think about expanding and thinking more about what is special about above board social media. I like looking at the place setting. It was really fun to see the different colored plates and to start thinking a little more on packaging. And I would say with the packaging as well, that's somewhere where you can start to see some of that wave pattern coming in. But again, the idea of what could we do with the packaging in addition to the logo? So how does this grow so that as we're starting to put the logo on different items, it's not the only piece that's on there. And then it was extra fun to see, I think there's some type of playlist as well that was made for what you might hear in the restaurant. So overall, I think it's a really consistent brand with a really smart logo, which really made it stand out.
Thank you so much, Abby. And thank you so much for taking the time to view the work that our students have been doing over the past few weeks. Up next, we have the work of Manuela Sevilla from San Jose State University. And she has been working for the past 5 weeks or so with Judy Wood from Humber College in Toronto, Canada, on a restaurant concept called Seasons, which is a high-end restaurant that makes use of local food. It's farm to table, fork to table, and with sustainability at its heart.
Hello and welcome to the Tasty Design Challenge. I've had the opportunity to work with my client, Judy Wood, to develop one of the most sophisticated restaurants, Seasons. So let's talk about our brand essence. Our restaurant Seasons offers guests an elevated and sustainably sourced fine dining experience. We include a rotating seasonal menu that is extremely conscious of the local harvests. Our chefs work hand in hand with local farmers of the Niagara region to prepare the freshest tasting experience the season has to offer us. Most logos that are successful are simple, elegant, clear to read, and give context into what the product is selling, which is exactly what ours does. A ladle, which evokes a sense of hunger, and shows the consumers what it is that we're providing them, which is delicious food. For our style guide and typography, we kept it simple with Mrs. Eve's OT, as well as our visual identity in color with a gender-neutral palette. For our menu designs, we have a very elegant gold trim, as well as monograms of vegetables and beets, showing that ultimately it comes down to eating healthy and eating food that is locally sourced. Now, our entire brand essence revolves around the idea of sustainability and getting food that's fresh and local. So of course we want to include that in our apparel line and have completely fully recyclable material. And here you'll see that in our tote bags. For our promotional and advertising, we've included an Instagram that not only is aesthetically stunning to look at, but also gives the consumer an idea of how the food even got to the plate. Our motto includes from field to fork. So here we have an employee that is sourcing cheese from a local farmer's market, as well as a beautifully plated food that is just delicious and pleasing to look at. We even have a chef here that seems to be grating some Parmesan into a pasta dish. And of course, the beautiful outside patio scenery. Thank you guys so much for your attention, and I hope you love this restaurant concept as much as I love developing it.
So after having watched the video, Abby, what are your thoughts about Manuela's work?
All right, Seasons Restaurant. I really love looking at this project for many reasons. First, let's start with the logo. I love the idea of having this open ladle. I love the illustrations that were made throughout the whole brand, and we'll talk about them in the menu as well. But I really like the idea of the O being replaced by this open ladle, the idea that, you know, the chefs can be making whatever they want, depending on what's in season. The concept for the restaurant is really strong. It's on trend right now. It makes sense. It's what we want. We want to be eating local. So I love that. What really stands out for me in this brand is the menu. So I think a lot of care was taken with laying out the typography for the menu, for thinking about the overall layout, the different columns, the custom illustrations, how they're screened back so that we can still process all the information we're reading. I like the custom borders that were placed on here and how the logo was applied to the menu. Overall, it's just a really, really strong menu that gets me excited to try all the dishes, which is what you want from a menu. And finally, well, actually, there's two more parts I want to talk about. The tote bag is just fun. I like the idea of just this ladle on the front. It gives you that like thought of what is this for? What could be in the bag? Maybe you're even going to go up to the person and say, hey, where's that bag from? So that really stood out. And, you know, I'm guessing maybe the other side is the whole logo, or maybe it's a separate option, but I kind of just want the ladle bag myself. And then finally, the Instagram. What I really liked about this Instagram is that I can tell a lot of care was taken on the curation of the images. And so they all have a feeling like the same type of saturation. They all have the same type of feeling of this action and what someone's doing. I like that it mixes it up. There's some that are focused on the restaurant. There's some on maybe a chef, and some of the food, some people eating. But it has a really nice flow to it. I sometimes look at Instagrams kind of like a pacing of a book, and you don't want everything to feel the same. And I really like how this mixes it up. So overall, just a really great project that I'm really happy I got to take a look at.
All right, Abby, now that you've seen both of our finalists, who do you think's done the best job serving their clients and will hold forever the title of Tasty Design Challenge champion?
Well, for this year's competition, I'm going to go with Seasons Restaurant. I was really excited. I think both the logos for both the projects were successful for different reasons. Conceptually, I thought the first logo was stronger conceptually, but visually, and I think for just the audience, that they both are successful. But really what won me over, where I go strong, is typography. And I think that the menu for this was just so strong that it was hard not to give them the official award.
All right, so that's a wrap on the latest edition of the Tasty Design Challenge. Congrats to Manuela, who has claimed for herself a year's subscription to Adobe Creative Cloud from our friends at Adobe, as well as the Tasty Design Challenge Cup, which will sit at her home department back at San Jose State University. Many congrats to Manuela and to her client, and many thanks to all of our clients who are designers and educators and business owners from all over the country and this time continent. And of course, many thanks to Abby for being our final judge today. Congrats to all of the students for all of their hard work, and be well.